أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير. والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. وقل رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتاب الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. زينوا مجالسكم بالصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. My respected elders, brothers and sisters in Iman, Salamun alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Question: who is Fatimah al-Zahra in this dunya? Keep this in your mind, inshallah, we'll return to it. We're told there's a moment in time where As ibn Wa'il, the father of Amr ibn As, he's in the vicinity of the masjid, he sees Rasulullah. When he sees Rasulullah, at that point they're having a conversation. When they're having a conversation, the tribesmen of Arabia are looking at this scene. They are against Rasulullah. When they're against Rasulullah, they're saying, As is one of our guys. As is one of our men. How is he talking to the orphan child, Muhammad? At that point in time, the conversation ensued. When the conversation ensued and continued, after the conversation completed, Rasulullah went his way and As went his way. When As went his own way, the tribesmen of Mecca said, As, hold on, 1 second, stop, come here, come here. He said, at that point in time, he said, what is it? He came towards them. They said, hello, hi, whatever their way of greeting was. They greeted each other. When they greeted, he said, who is you just talking to right now? Who are you just talking to? At that point in time, he said, I was talking to, because they want to see. They know which side he's on, or is he switching sides? You know, this is an old concept. Politics is an old game. It's not new. This idea that was coming forward, they said, is this guy? I thought he was one of our men. He's talking to the enemy, according to them. I said, who are you just talking to? He said, oh, that one. I was just speaking to the one who is abtar. Abtar, referring to a derogatory term, a negative term for someone an animal that is tailless. An animal, such as a donkey or horse, that does not have a tail. What was he alluding to? A derogatory term. He was saying that this is someone who does not have a male heir. He does not have a child who's a male. At that point in time, they laughed, the tribesmen laughed, As ibn Wa'il laughed, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't laugh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you hurt the heart of my Habib, I will respond to you. At that point in time, Surah Kawthar was revealed. Surah Kawthar is one of the 3 surahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that directly from beginning to end, the person Allah is speaking to is Rasulullah. This Kawthar, according to the ulama and the scholars, Kawthar is a spring in Jannah, a water body in Jannah, and also there is the lineage of the progeny of Fatimah al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. Sallu ala Muhammad. Tonight I want to cover some of the important topics. Many people ask today, why is this so important? Why is Ayyam Fatimiyah so important? Why must we commemorate the Lady of Light? Is this something against disunity or not? We'll answer all these questions in the subsequent nights. Remember, uniformity is not equal to conformity. Remember this point. Our ulama have been very clear on this matter, that with respect to the Ahlul Bayt, there is no compromise. They are Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, because what happens? You and I, as followers of the Ahlul Bayt, there was a time where we were in abundance. Today, we're 15-20%. If I don't tell my children what happened, I'll become 0%. We'll get to that in a moment, and we'll get to that in subsequent nights. Tonight, I want to understand from a brief moment, who is Fatimah al-Zahra? Who is this great personality? What does her name mean? How many children did Rasulullah have? Because many people ask this question, and there's confusion even in our communities on this question. How can we learn from Fatimah al-Zahra in this dunya, as a mother, as a daughter in particular? What does she teach us? And how is it so vital in terms of today's world for fathers to develop a strong relationship with daughters? And if this doesn't happen, what are the results? And I want to look at what have the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam said with respect to the position of Fatimah al-Zahra and how vital it is in Islam. And if you neglect it, what are the repercussions? And I want to draw our attention to the connection between Fatimah al-Zahra and Karbala and Sham. This is our discussion for tonight, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
If you recall from last night, I mentioned that 13 Noors Anwar of the Ahlul Bayt were passing from the line of Adam all the way up to Khatam. All the way up to Rasulullah. 13 Noors, 13 lights. The first creation of Allah, the Noor of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. One after the other, it's passing from Adam to Nuh, to Isa, to Musa, all the way down to Abdul Muttalib. Not Khatam yet, till Abdul Muttalib. But then that Noor, it went to Abu Talib. 13 Anwar, 13 lights go to Abu Talib. One Noor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya Muhammad, you have to come to me to get it. That is the Noor of Fatimah al-Zahra. Our ulama, our scholars say Fatima, it comes from what? What does it mean? It means Fatama. It comes from the root word Fatama. Fatama meaning what? Fatama meaning one who puts a stop to something. One who puts an end to something. If we looked at this definition, we would not know what it means entirely. This is why we need the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. This is why we need the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam to explain to us what is the meaning of these words. What is the weight of these terms? What is the weight of these names? Because names have an impact on people. If I give my name, if my children a name of Ali or Fatima or Hassan or Hussein, has an impact on the child. The ulama say this, not me. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam would name his children one after the other. Ali Akbar, Ali Awsat, Ali Asghar, one after the other. They said, Ya Hussein, you name all of them Ali. Why don't you pick something else? He said, if I had 1,000 sons, I would name them all Ali. Allahu Akbar. Never forget this Ali. This name, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, there's a power within these names. We're told when As ibn Wa'il says this, Rasulullah is hurt by it. And the Quran sends Surah Kawthar. Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will give you that abundant progeny. That progeny is the progeny of Fatimah al-Zahra. The progeny of Rasulullah through Fatimah al-Zahra. It's not to be taken lightly. I say this because from a young age, if you remember, I told you that Rasulullah would come bloodied, riddled, come back from Ta'if for tabligh, and he was filled with blood. Fatimah al-Zahra would wipe off all the blood and clean him. I told you about that. I told you about Ta'if. I told you about what Abu Jahl threw the intestine. I told you that. Fatimah al-Zahra has been a defender of Risala from the beginning. And a defender of Imama from the beginning. The first defender of Risala and Imama is Fatimah al-Zahra. Do not take it lightly. 18 years, don't think it's a small thing. It's a huge thing. But I say this in our world today because we live in a world where we have some challenges we're facing. Because this member of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, Rasulullah used to give lectures that were not very long. 20 minutes at the most, 15 minutes, sometimes much shorter than this. Why? Because he would give people a message. And he would want that impact to stay in their minds and their hearts. So he would give them practical solutions. What's a practical solution? Remember the concept of a drift in your life. Do you know what a drift is? If I go to the sea or the ocean, and I go and stand and float in the ocean, you go to the Atlantic near you, you go to the Bahamas, you go to the Pacific, you go there and you float in the water. Islam says it's highly recommended to teach your children to swim, as you know. Swimming, horse riding, and archery, highly recommended in Islam. So you're in the body of water. What if you're floating? You're not swimming in any direction. Does this water take you in a particular direction? Whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not, that water will take you somewhere. Our society is like an ocean with a drift. In societies, if I look at the oceans, if I look at the Caribbean, if I look at the Bahamas, if I look at Silicon Valley, if I look at Europe, if I look at Australia, if I look at Africa, if I look at Asia, every place has a drift. I ask the people who've been to the Bahamas, what's the drift? Take it easy, relax. Silicon Valley, what is it? Entrepreneurship. Build a company, start up, build it, do it. And every place has a particular ethos. You know, religion, if you remember, religion has an impact based on where you are in America. You know this? The Northeast block has a certain relationship with religion. The Midwest has a certain relationship with religion in America. The South, you know what it's called? The Bible Belt. Why? Virginia to Texas, Bible Belt. West Coast, it has a certain relationship with religion, whether you and I realize it or not. Our youth growing up in this environment, this society, they are feeling the drift of the society, whether you realize it or not. Our job is to teach our children to have good principles so they are successful in this dunya and the akhirah, inshallah. How so? There are two books that I recommend to the parents here, especially those fathers who have daughters, with respect to developing a relationship with your child. Because if you don't do this, this can cause many challenges in your life. The first is strong fathers, strong daughters. This is a book by a psychiatrist, a doctor by the name of Meg Meeker. She's looked at this question and she said that in our modern world, we're facing a challenge. What's that challenge? Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. She says there's problems, such as we are having a movement. This is the positive side. She said in our world, we are having a movement towards women's rights. She said on one side, this is good because there are challenges. For example, there's a wage inequality. Men make more than women, for example. She said, but there's a challenge we're facing. What's the challenge? The challenge we're saying is we are condemning men to the point that we are not balancing the equation. So we're saying men are the problem. Rather, we should say men are part of the solution, as are women. It should be a balanced equation. So many fathers are not having those conversations with their daughters that they should be having. Why? Because the drift of our society, not my words, Dr. Meg Meeker's words, the drift of our society is pushing women towards materialism. Everything is based on how you look, the clothes you wear, how attractive you are. And you think this doesn't impact our children? I tell you with my hand on my heart, it impacts our children. The conversations I've had on this side of the ocean, the other side of the ocean, up north, wherever. The world is a global village now. It's not only in these parts of the world, it's in the east and it's in the west. What do we do? Meg Meeker says, develop a relationship, especially fathers, develop a strong relationship with your daughters. Amir al-Mu'mineen is sitting with his daughter Zainab, salamullahi alayhi. My daughter Zainab. Say one. Says one. At that point in time, she said, my daughter Zainab, say two. She's quiet. Allahu Akbar. The tarbiyah of Ahlul Bayt. One is ilm, knowledge. One is tarbiyah, nurturing. This nurturing is missing. She remains quiet. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, my daughter Zainab, say two. She looks at her father. She's shy. She's modest. She has haya. This is another thing. Haya, how do you translate it? I don't know. You need many words to translate haya. She says, my father, I can't. How can the heart which has said one say two? Referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the concept of Tawheed in the house of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi wasallam. Allahu Akbar. Further than this, at that point in time, she says to my father, Zainab alayhi salam says to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, my father, do you love us? Do you love us? He says, yes, of course, you are the light of my eye. You're the fruit of my heart. Zainab, you're my daughter. I love you. She says, my father, Baba, love is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, then what should I do? What should I say? I have affection for you. I care for you. What's the answer? She says, love is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Compassion is for us. Care is for us. But love is exclusively for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meg Meeker, the researcher, says, looking at this world, this society, the drift is going in a way where women are told that everything that you are based on, your value in society, is based on how you look. And men are not speaking up. Dr. Meg Meeker says men are not speaking up because they're afraid that they will be labeled. They're afraid they'll be labeled as someone who is an aggressive parent. By the way, someone who is following this track and doing dhulm, domestic abuse, a man on a woman is not following the path of Ahlul Bayt. A Haydari can never do this. Someone else can do this. But someone who's a follower of Ahlul Bayt, especially in Ayyam and Fatimiyah, you should know that someone who's a Haydari can never lift a hand on a woman. At the same time, we must understand what is the principle, what is the importance, what is it that fathers should build a relationship with their mothers. And the second book, which I have mentioned many times, is a book called American Girls by Nancy Jo Sales, where she has said, and she has focused, and she has said in our world today, in the America today, there is a shift. What's that shift? Before, daughters used to dress like their mothers. Now it's opposite. Now, today, in our world, mothers dress like the daughters. I say this because the nature of a drift in society, the ocean is such, it will take you one way, and you may not even know where you are. So I tell my youth, my sisters especially, and my brothers, when you see the drift of society taking you in one direction, and if it's the wrong direction, don't go with the drift. Stop and swim the other way. This swimming the other way will help you in this dunya and in the akhirah. Because you and I must develop this relationship. The Ahlul Bayt give us solutions to some of our biggest problems in life. Like what? Like which solutions? Like which problems we're facing? We're told there's a moment in time, never forget Khaybar, huh? My dear brothers and sisters, Khaybar will come up again and again. Khaybar, not only in the sense of Khaybar, in terms of what happened at Khaybar, what happened after Khaybar. We'll realize how pivotal and important Khaybar is. When Khaybar happened, all the Muslims, they had no solution. There was different strategies and different wars. In the strategy of Badr, there was one. In the battle of Badr, there was one strategy. Uhud, another. Rasulullah told the people who were the archers, stay there, don't move. They didn't stay there. Khandak, they dug a trench or a moat. As time progressed, in the battle of Khaybar, there was no strategy except Ali ibn Abi Talib. The only strategy the Muslims had was Ali ibn Abi Talib. 39 days, 40 days, Rasulullah had to say, نادي عليا مظهر العجائب تجده هون لك في النوائب كل هم وغم سيعجل بعزمتك يا الله بنبوتك يا محمد بولايتك يا علي يا علي يا علي صلوا على محمد. That is Allah. I want to share with you what happened after Khaybar. After Khaybar, after Amir al-Mu'mineen, he takes and he wins Khaybar and lifts the door of Khaybar. The Muslims, they began to take the mal-e-ghanimat, you know, the Baytul Mal, the treasury of the people, they went towards it. Everyone went. Everyone went and came. And everyone came back to Medina. When they came back to Medina, they had prizes with them. They had wealth with them. They had money with them. They had property with them. They had shields with them, swords with them. All the money you can think of, they had it with them. And they came back. Fatimah al-Zahra is seeing this scene, that the people are bringing back wealth to their families. I brought this. And who knows who's taking credit for what. They're all saying that I've got this for my wife. Look at the alignment of Fatimah al-Zahra and Amir al-Mu'mineen. Allahu Akbar. Rasulullah asks Fatima and Amir al-Mu'mineen, he asks, Ya Ali, you want to marry Fatima? What do you have? At that point in time, he says, Ya Rasulullah, I have a simple life, a humble life. You know this. He says, all I have is a shield, a sword, a horse, and some say a ring. He said, Ya Ali, as for the sword, Islam needs it, keep it. As for the horse, you need it for defend Islam. The shield, you have no need for the shield. That your enemy needs the shield. He said, go sell it. He goes and sells it. He comes back, marries Fatimah al-Zahra for a small amount, 500 dirham. At that point in time, all the people are coming back from Khaybar. When they come back from Khaybar, do you know what happens? Amir al-Mu'mineen, who is Fatah Khaybar, he is the one who brought victory to the Muslims. He comes empty-handed. Allahu Akbar. Fatimah al-Zahra sees her husband empty-handed. Allahu Akbar. Amir al-Mu'mineen has given victory to the Muslims. And what is going through his heart? At that point in time, she looks at her husband, she says, Ya Ali, how was Khaybar? He said, we brought victory. Allah gave us victory. At that point in time, she looked and she said, Imam Ali says, Fatima, I was coming back from Khaybar and I passed by Masjid al-Quba. Masjid al-Quba at that time was where the poor and the orphans of Medina lived. You know, those people, Ashab al-Suffa was another area. There were these certain areas in Medina where the poor used to live. You know, Abu Huraira, he was part of Ashab al-Suffa. The ruler saw him, they said, you want a job, we'll give you a job, just give a hadith, come here. Rasulullah used to help those people. Amir al-Mu'mineen passed by Quba, Masjid al-Quba, and he noticed there were the widows there. Why? Because he knew the widows, they don't have any man in their family who has gone to war and brought something back. At that point, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he distributed everything he had to the women and the orphans there in Masjid al-Quba. He said, Fatima, I passed by Quba, I saw the orphans, I saw the women, I couldn't take it. I remembered what Rasulullah would do. I took whatever I had and I gave it to the orphans. Fatimah al-Zahra, she went straight into sujood, into sajda towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She said, my husband, what a gift, what an honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you got a gift from Allah and you returned it before you even got home. Allah. This is the akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. These are the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So you and I can understand who these great personalities are. Furthermore, I will complete the tradition that I mentioned the night before. You remember on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's a long tradition, I'm breaking it up for you. On the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Ya ahla mahshar ghuddu absarakum. O people of the court of the day of judgment, lower your gaze. Why? Because Fatima al-Zahra enters into the court. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Fatima, whoever is your Shia, take them and take them into Jannah with you. The hadith from Imam Baqir doesn't end there. Because Imam Baqir was asked by the Shia there, he said, Imam, they said, Imam, can you tell us what will be our manzila, what will be our status on Yawm al-Qiyamah? He goes further. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Fatima, whoever has given someone food in your name, pick them. Allahu Akbar. He said, Ya Allah, what else? He said, Fatima, whoever has clothed someone, given clothes in your name, select them, pick them. Allahu Akbar. Goes further. He says, Ya Allah, what else? What else? He says, Fatima, whoever has given water to anyone in your name, put them aside, pull them aside. Point them aside, put them on the side. Direct them in one direction with your finger. Point them away. He said, what else? Whoever has given anyone shelter in your name, put them to the side. Why this ma'tam? Why this recitation? Why this niyaz? Why this recitation? We have authentic traditions from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that if someone recites 2 lines, 1 couplet of poetry in honor of Ahlul Bayt and makes 50 people cry, فَهُوَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ, that person's in Jannah. It's not some cultural aspect that we recite musibah and we recite the shara. The Imam doesn't stop there. Imam Sadiq says, no, not 50. 40 people cry, فَهُوَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ, that person's in Jannah. He continues. He says, no, not 40, 30. فَهُوَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. He says 20, 10, 1 person. He says if someone makes make a sad face, that person is in Jannah. Allahu Akbar. It's not something small, something massive, something huge. Further than this, these tears speak on the day of judgment. But I want to give one more nasiha, one more gift to you and I on this night. Because Fatimah al-Zahra is that personality who can be the basis of your shafa'ah and my shafa'ah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. How? There's a tradition from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that says very clearly, authentic tradition, Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, that the Imam alayhimus salam says that we, the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, are a hujjah on the people. And our grandmother Fatimah al-Zahra is a hujjah over us. وَجَدَّتُنَا فَاطِمَةٌ حُجَّةٌ عَلَيْنَا. Allahu Akbar. But we sometimes go over this. Why? We sometimes think this is something to just glance over. Do you know what hujjah means? Hujjah typically in English we translate as proof. This is not a sufficient evidence. This is not a sufficient translation. Why? Because hujjah, proof. If I ask the youth, he tells me, what does that really mean? There's a big philosophical argument behind this, and I want to conclude that for you and I so we understand what is the answer. There's 2 things. There are those things that are majhul and ma'loom. Majhul and ma'loom. What does this mean? It's a very sophisticated word for a very simple concept. Ma'loom is that thing that if I tell you, you know what it looks like, it comes to your mind, you know exactly what it looks like. For example, what? For example, if I tell you a horse. If I tell you a horse, the image of a horse comes in your mind, you know what it looks like because you've seen it, it's very clear, it's ma'loom. There's something called majhul. Majhul is what? Majhul is something that I know it exists, but I don't know what it looks like. What's an example? Jinn. The Quran says there are jinn. It's very clear in the Quran, but do I know what it looks like? If you know what it looks like, I don't know what to say to you. But many people, we don't know. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, we'll see what it looks like. But right now we don't know. So the thing that converts majhul into ma'loom, the thing that converts the jinn into the horse for us, for example, that is what is a hujjah. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are a hujjah for you and I in this sense. Rasulullah is there in the city one day. What's happening? He's sitting in the city, and when he's in the city, he's in the bazaar. You know, human nature, as I mentioned to you in the past, fitrah doesn't change. Human nature, the actors change. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen says in his wasiyah to his son, they say Imam Hassan or Muhammad Hanafiya, he says, my son, study history. Study it. Why? He said, I studied history as if I had walked among the ruins of past civilizations. Amir al-Mu'mineen says this. Because history repeats itself. The actors change. At that point in time, when we look at what has happened in our society, you begin to notice with respect to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus, certain things become very crystal clear for you and I. Who are the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam? Where are they taking us? Because you and I, if we try to get directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll go here and there. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam hold our hands and take us directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, that's why the connection is so important. Hujjat, what does Hujjat mean? Hujjah means, because Rasulullah is in Medina. What happened in Medina? There's a man, the fitrah doesn't change. How does the fitrah not change? Today, everyone wants a nice car. What was the nice car of that time? It was a horse. In fact, a red horse. What's the logo of Ferrari today? It's a horse. And everyone wants the red Ferrari, right? Fitrah doesn't change. Same thing at that time. This man was in Medina, he wanted to sell his horse. Rasulullah saw it. As you know, he was a very good businessman, the most honest, Sadiq and Ameen. They saw him, he said, it's a nice horse, will you sell it? He said, I'm interested in selling it. They come to an agreement. When they come to an agreement, Rasulullah says, I accept, but I don't have the money on me right now. Let me go back, get the money. When I get the money, then I will come back, give you the money, and you give me the horse. Accepted? Handshake deal. In anywhere, people accept this, yes? When they passed by, when Rasulullah went back, there was a man there. Some of the people who had hatred towards Rasulullah, they saw Rasulullah, and they saw him walk away, and they saw the horse. They saw the man, they said, this horse that you're looking at, that we're looking at, what's the deal with it? He said, it's my horse, but I've just sold it to that man who's walking away. Muhammad. They said, if Muhammad bought it, then it must be special. He said, will you sell it to us? He said, no. We've made an agreement. Everyone has a price. He said, 2,000 was the arrangement, let's say. He said, we'll give you 2,500. He said, no. 3,000, no. 4,000. By the way, the Banu Umayyah used to do the same thing with Abu Hurairah and the likes, huh? How much do you want? You name your price, we'll change it. You name your price, we'll give it to you. They got up to 5,000, my man began to shake. He said, deal, fine, I sold it to you. Rasulullah comes back. When Rasulullah comes back, he says, here's the money, may I please have the horse? He said, do you have any witnesses? He's asking Sadiq and Ameen Rasulullah, do you have any witnesses? He says, it was an agreement between you and I. You must hold your word. He said, do you have witnesses? He said, no. The same way Amir al-Mu'mineen took that one man to the court, as the ruler of the Muslims, Amir al-Mu'mineen takes the man who's not a Muslim to the court. When he takes him, the judge looks at Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, Ya Abul Hasan. At that point, Amir al-Mu'mineen looks back at him. He says, don't call me Abul Hasan. Here, I'm a defendant. You call me by my name the same way you call that man. At that point in time, they said, Ya Ali, do you have witnesses? He says, I don't have witnesses. Said, then we must give the award, we must give the decision to the man. He says, I accept. He walked out. Ali ibn Abi Talib walks out, he accepts. That man says, today I have understood Allah's justice on earth. That I took the leader of Muslims to court and I won against him as a non-Muslim in a Muslim state. Rasulullah the same way, he's saying we had an agreement. He said, do you have witnesses? Rasulullah says, I don't. At that point, Bilal was passing by. When Bilal was passing by, he saw Rasulullah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, you in the bazaar? What is it? He says, Ya Bilal, we had an agreement. Myself and this man had an agreement. And then he turned, he reneged on the agreement. He didn't accept. I brought the money. At that point in time, he says, Ya Rasulullah, Bilal says, Ya Rasulullah, I am your witness. The man was shocked. He says, Muhammad, this man, he was not there at that point in time when we made this agreement. He's acting as your witness. At that point in time, Rasulullah, you saw that, he looks at Bilal, he says, Bilal, he's saying something, he may have a point. What is your point? How are you my witness? He says, Ya Rasulullah, you told me there is Allah. Did I see Allah? He said, Ya Rasulullah, you told me there is Jannah. Did I see Jannah? He said, Ya Rasulullah, you told me there is a hell. Did I see hell? Ya Rasulullah, you told me everything. I accepted everything. And you're asking me if I accept that you bought this house, this horse from this man? How can it be? At that point in time, the man said, it is true. Muhammad has never lied and will never lie. I must give him the horse.
Ya Rasulullah.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
These These are the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the generosity of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Develop this relationship with the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and you will succeed in this dunya and the next. The lesson of this lecture is for the fathers and the mothers to develop a relationship with our children. There are these social media avenues that are going. There are many good things in social media. There's also problems. TikTok and these things, it must be controlled in some capacity. If there's a good level, the lesson from it, very good. If there's not, we must be careful. Who's going to talk about these things in our community? I don't want to get to a point where the parents call me, and I'm here to help, but they lose their daughters, they lose their children. It would be a travesty, because Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam gave everything so you and I can be their Shia. The Ahlul Bayt, as I told you, Sayyid Qazwini's story, the poet says so beautifully with respect to the Ahlul Bayt. Never forget, and you heard it in the poetry that was recited before me, the relationship of Fatimiyah al-Zahra and Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. And the connection and the relationship between Fatimiyah al-Zahra and the children and the grandchildren of Fatimiyah al-Zahra. The poet says, Mujhko dunya mein koi shakhs bhi aisa na mila. Mujhko dunya mein koi shakhs bhi aisa na mila. जो ये कह सकता हो शब्बीर से मांगा न मिला. मुझको दुनिया में कोई शख्स भी ऐसा न मिला जो ये कह सकता हो शब्बीर से मांगा न मिला. और एक बार उनकी सखावत के मुताबिक मांगे. एक बार उनकी सखावत, जेनरोसिटी, उनकी सखावत के मुताबिक मांगे. ऐसा मौला को कोई मांगने वाला न मिला. ऐसा मौला को कोई मांगने वाला न मिला. और शहने आशूर की शब ऐसे बुझाया था दिया. शहने आशूर की शब ऐसे बुझाया था दिया. ढूंढती रह गई खुद रात अंधेरा न मिला. शहने आशूर की शब ऐसे बुझाया था दिया. ढूंढती रह गई खुद रात अंधेरा न मिला. और कम से कम जान है कीमत ये समझ कर आना. कम से कम जान है कीमत ये समझ कर आना. इश्क शब्बीर किसी को कभी सस्ता न मिला. कम से कम जान है कीमत ये समझ कर आना. इश्क शब्बीर किसी को कभी सस्ता न मिला. और दूर थे परचमे अब्बास से जो लोग सिराज. दूर थे परचमे अब्बास से जो लोग सिराज. दिल मिलाने लगे जब हश्र में साया न मिला. दिल मिलाने लगे जब हश्र में साया न मिला. दुरूद भेजे मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद. Develop this relationship with Fatimah al-Zahra and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Tonight we commemorate Fatimah al-Zahra through her children. How? Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Musibah and Musaib of Fatimah is very difficult to recite. You have to read it what the books say, and you have to control yourself before you recite. It's unbearable. Unbearable. We are told that Fatimah al-Zahra used to cry so much after Rasulullah. 3 traditions. Either she died 40 days, or 75 days, or 95 days after Rasulullah. The ulama say 75 to 95 days, we should commemorate the whole time. By the way, these things will benefit you not only in the akhirah, in this dunya as well. Dr. Meg Meeker, who I mentioned earlier, she said, you daughters, women who have a strong connection to church, mosque, synagogue, they have a stronger connection to God, they have a stronger belief system, and they stay away from many vices. This is a gift for tonight, inshallah. But Fatimah al-Zahra, Allahu Akbar. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Allah asked the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Fatimah al-Zahra used to cry in the day and cry in the night. Do you know what happened? Amir al-Mu'mineen was called by the people of Medina. When he was called by the people of Medina, you know what happened? They said, Ya Ali, tell your wife Fatima for her to cry in the day or cry in the night. Why? They say, Ya Ali, why? Ali says, why? At that point, because when she cries in the day and she cries in the night, we are not able to sleep in Medina. Allahu Akbar. Allah knows how Ali ibn Abi Talib went to his wife and said, Fatima, the people of Medina have said something. Imam Ali says to Fatima says, what is it? They say, Fatima, do not cry both in the day and both in the night. Cry in the day or the night because the people of Medina are not able to sleep. Fatimah al-Zahra began to cry. She said, صُبَّتْ عَلَيَّ مَصَائِبٌ لَوْ أَنَّهَا صُبَّتْ عَلَى الْأَيَّامِ صِرْنَ لَيَالِيَا. My father, Baba Jan, after you, see what happened to Fatima, see what happened to your daughter. That if the days, the calamities that fell on the day fell on me, then they would become the dark nights if these calamities fell. At that point, Fatimah al-Zahra said, Ya Abul Hasan, my husband, can you do something for me? He says, yes, bint Rasulillah, tell me, what is it? Can you build a house for me where I can cry away from the people? أجركم على الله. Amir al-Mu'mineen built a house. The house was called Baytul Ahzan, the house of sorrows. Fatimah al-Zahra would go there. She would cry. She would weep. But Fatima, can I say something to you with my hands together as your Shia? You cried away from the city, but your granddaughters, when they cried, someone strikes them on the face. Someone strikes them somewhere else. Ajrukum ala Allah. The last narration, we are told 100 years ago, Sayyid Ibrahim al-Damishqi, he was the caretaker of the Haram in Sham, in Damishq. They say in his dream, he saw that water was coming in to the grave of Bibi Sakina. When the water was coming into the grave of Bibi Sakina, he saw this one night, he saw it another night, he saw it a third night. He went to the ulama. He said, I've seen this dream repetitively over the nights. Tell me what I should do. He says that if you've seen it over and over again, you must take it seriously. They went to the grave. They put a curtain on one side. Sayyid Ibrahim was on the other side. They said, we must look and see is water coming into the grave. The people who were working there began to dig. When they began to dig at that point, Sayyid Ibrahim al-Damishqi, he says, stop everyone, stop, go away. I have felt the body, we are close to it. At that point they went away, and then they came back later, they made the corrections. When they made the corrections, at that point in time someone asked Sayyid Ibrahim, can we ask you one question, final thing? He says, what is it? What do you ask me? He says that when you open the grave, what did you see? He says, don't ask me what I saw. It broke my heart. I can't sleep till this day. He said, what did you see? He said, I saw blood running from the child's ears. I saw slap marks on her face. I saw her body stuck to the dress. She was buried in the same way. The poet says, Do aise janaze the तारीख में जो उठे घर के लोगों ने उनको दिए कांधे एक फातिमा ज़हरा थी एक बाली सकीना وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا أمير المؤمنين صلى الله عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين صلى الله عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Ya Allah, anyone who has a halal hajat in this night, grant them this hajat. Ya Allah, keep these tears for Fatimah al-Zahra and her family as a witness for us on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allow us to gain the shifa of Fatimah al-Zahra on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allow us to be strong in our relationship with her and her family and her children, to take us through the pool of Kawthar and through Sirat, inshaAllah. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, and allow us to be amongst his companions when he returns. Ya Zahra, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.